it's Kate. I'm here. It's Friday, which means it's day number 5, the last day of the Sleep Academy. Like I said yesterday, amazing how quickly it goes. But thank you again for all the kind of messages and all the feedback. Some lovely little messages saying how much the videos have helped. So really hope that's helped you. So just before we start today, which is all going to be about kind of the other stuff like regressions, illnesses, nap transitions, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Firstly, don't forget that next week on Monday, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So if you've got any questions, then send them over to me. DM me, comment on posts that I put up, send them in now and make sure that I will answer your questions next week on Monday, basically. So just in case there's anything I haven't done or you're a bit confused, then don't worry about that. Secondly, I want to tell you about the discount I'm going to give you. So the Sleep Academy, if you haven't seen it, is my online course. It's completely there for you, instant access. You get short videos explaining kind of what you need to do to change your child's sleep. You get a downloadable sleep plan, and they're all written for your child's age, so it's age appropriate. It's not going to be growing it out. It's never kind of harsh techniques with me. It's always about trying to understand the bigger picture. You also get a sleep log to track your progress. You get email support coaching from myself every day. And then you get access to me via the discussion forum, so you can ask questions. So you have support as well. Now, normally the Sleep Academy is £45. But until the end of September, I'm going to take a discount off with the code 5day, and it's going to be just £40 for all of that, basically. So it's a real kind of the value way of getting sleep help and a direction and a plan that's going to work for you to get your child back sleeping again and start your journey to better sleep. Now, in addition to that, I've actually, over the last few weeks, had a few people contact me going, they really need some help and they want a bespoke plan, but they can't afford the full kind of service. So I've put in a new value service as well for this. And what this is I've called it my sleep time plan. So you fill out a questionnaire, I construct a sleep plan for you, and I spend half an hour talking it through with you. And then I make the changes to the plan and then send it over to you so that you've got it to follow, basically. And then you go and off you pop, and you've got everything you need to kind of make sure that you're going to improve your child's sleep. So it's a bespoke plan and it's only £105, which is awesome. You can book everything online at sleeptimebaby.co.uk. It's all live, and I will share that kind of with you later. Don't forget, if you do want more kind of support, then there are other options with the other packages that I offer, and they range from £205 for limited support and £305 for kind of full packages. And if you want me in your house over bedtime, then that's £405 for that package. So all I want to say is that fundamentally I have got a service that works for you. I am here to help you. I hope I've shown over this week that my approaches are very sensible. It's kind of taking into account your needs, your parenting needs, your child's needs, and it's all based on some scientific research. It's nothing that's kind of crazy and out there. It's meant to kind of help you with your sleep. But on to today. So let's talk about everything else. I don't know really where to start on this. Let's talk about the hot topic, early rising. Who doesn't want to talk about early rising? I mean, I get a lot of messages about this. I do a lot of troubleshooting calls on this. So that's like the half-an-hour call whereby I kind of give you strategies and directions to kind of head in to stop early rising. So early rising can be the bane of so many people's lives. It can hit at any stage. Classically, you'll find it hits in the summer months when it's a bit lighter in the morning, but you often get this kind of panic around the clock changes and everything, but which is coming up soon, don't forget, but that should work to our advantage for a little while. So with early rising, the things to consider are as follows. So is your child overtired? Because early rising can really cause wakings in the night, and overtiredness can really cause wakings in the night, and it can also cause children to rise early. So you want to make sure that the cortisol levels, which is basically what overtiredness is, aren't creeping up for bedtime, good naps in the day, making sure they're going down kind of in a good state of tiredness to stop that early rising. First thing to tick off the list. Second thing is the whole self-settling concept. So if your child cannot settle themselves to sleep well and doesn't sleep well, then you'll find that perhaps in those early hours of the morning, they find it much harder to resettle themselves. So that's the sort of tricky part. So they wake up, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning, and it's much harder to go to sleep at that time, back to sleep even, if you need help doing it, because you're sort of starting for the day. And what happens is the body starts to get ready for the day, kind of in the early hours of the morning. So if they need lots of help to go back to sleep, they might find it hard to settle back down again. So bear in mind the kind of self-settling kind of ethos around it all. And so in terms of what to do with early rising, quick kind of whiz down. Firstly, you normally want to eliminate the overtiredness, so put them to bed earlier for 5 days. Then if that doesn't help, then put them to bed later for 5 days. If that doesn't help, you can do a wake to sleep method. So that would mean if your child wakes at 5 in the morning every morning, go in at 4:45, and then wake them up to a near state of consciousness, and then get them to go back to sleep because they should still be quite sleepy at that time. And then hopefully they'll sleep through that. Keep going with that for 5 days and see how it goes. The other things to do is just to make sure fundamentally that they're not cold, because the coldest time in the night is normally about 4 o'clock. And so you could put like an extra layer on or change the tog of the sleeping bag, if that's what you're using. The next thing to consider is brightness. If you've got any glimmer of light in the room, get it taped down, blackout blinds, foil, whatever it is. Just make sure that it's as dark as possible. Think about white noise. White noise can help eliminate it, because sometimes there's other factors that might creep in that might be kind of waking them up. So work with that. There are things you can sort of do, like feed them up before bed, porridge, banana, suppery snack, or if they're just on milk alone, then just do an extra feed before bed just to see if it's hunger perhaps. But it's a bit of a long game, but hopefully there's some tips around kind of early rising. Next thing, common thing to talk about is regressions. So there are a number of regressions that can happen. They don't always happen, and what they are developmental changes. So if anyone follows something like the Wonder Weeks or any kind of developmental kind of guide, be conscious that they're good, they're written on sort of scientific basis, don't get me wrong, but your child won't necessarily follow their pattern. So don't become kind of obsessed with what's supposed to be happening this week if it doesn't. Just kind of have a look at what your child's doing. So with the 4-month regression, that's actually one of the biggest ones, because it's a bit of a sleep change. It goes from a child having a 35-minute cycle in a sleep cycle into a 45-minute cycle. And what I tend to normally say is, if your child isn't sleeping well going into it, they're probably not going to get through it that night well, or come out of it perhaps a bit worse. So just think about that, because actually, whilst I don't believe in inverted commas sleep training before 4 months, you can get into great habits. So see what you can do to get your child in a great place, coming up to that 4-month regression, that sleep change, to help them kind of ride through it. And then you've got the other regressions, which are normally you get 8 months, you get 12 months, 18 months, and then kind of it goes on. Normally they link with something like rolling, standing up, speech development. The key thing about regressions is to note that they're happening, perhaps offer a bit more comfort for your child, but actually know that they're not going to last forever. So know that probably after about 2 or 3 weeks, you should get back to normal. And it's really then kind of just about how you manage your way through it. And when you get back to normal, when the regression kind of stops, then you just want to come back to kind of your normal pattern of sleep. So don't let the regression be an excuse for rubbish sleep, because it should only be a momentary thing. And it's actually quite similar for illnesses and teething. So if your child's ill, then they're probably going to need some more comforts, because they are kind of sort of suffering a little bit. So you might want to kind of offer that sort of support. Laura's just said that she's currently in the middle of 4-month regression, ongoing now 3 weeks. So really, Laura, I would think that you should be kind of coming out of it kind of relatively soon. So maybe think about whether there's other fundamental parts that you need to kind of change within the sleep kind of pattern, the settling perhaps, or the daytime naps, just to kind of help your child get some better rest, basically. So onto illnesses. I wouldn't ever kind of start and think with your child if they're ill, because they probably need a bit more comfort. But let's say your child kind of picked up a virus, or is under the weather, then what I would suggest you do is try and keep bedtime as sort of normal as possible, in the sense of you want to keep your bedtime routine the same. You might need to put them to bed early if they're tired, because sometimes they just need more sleep when they're ill, and try and keep that kind of whole approach to sleep the same at bedtime. And then maybe in the night you just need to offer a bit more comfort. And again, I mean, children can get better as quickly as they get ill, I find, especially with mine. So just ride it out and then get back to good sleep. Don't deny them of the comfort they may need. They may need medicine, you know, all of those kind of things. So in the night time, when they're better, just know that you've got to go back to where you were. And, you know, if you've got good sleep going into it, you should be able to recover quite quickly as well. Similar for teething, it's really tricky. You just might need to kind of offer a bit more help. But once the tooth is through, then that's when the pain should subside. So that's your kind of sign, actual physical sign to say, do you know what, we're going to get back on track with sleep now. So try, you know, kind of maybe offer some comfort in terms of extra, you know, touch or whatever it may need to be. And then, you know, kind of work on what you're doing in the night. Maybe they need the medicine to kind of stop the pain. But once you've got through the teeth coming through, then back to kind of good kind of sleep on all of it. So that's kind of regressions, illnesses, and a bit of teething thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, because we didn't get time to talk about it the other day, was nap transition. So I will be putting together a little pack of things like awake times, sleep needs for children's ages, and sort of, you know, kind of when you sort of transfer from nap. So fundamentally from about 4 months onwards, you're normally on about 3 to 4 naps. And then that kind of goes down to 2 naps around sort of 7 to 8 months. And then somewhere around 14 months, you slip down to 1 nap. And then, well, it can be any time you drop the nap, really. Often it's about sort of 2 years. My children slept in the day until they were 3 years and still slept well at night time. So it's about your child's sleep needs, really. So it's all about trying to make sure that you're understanding what they're showing you. So the key things to look out for with a nap transition is going to be that they either start resisting the nap at the normal kind of time, so the awake time distance that they were going down for, because they can stay awake for longer, or that their nap gets a bit shorter because they're not quite tired enough. Or you might find that they resist bedtime because they have slept too much in the day, or they've been awake for too long. And then really it's about kind of identifying that as your next kind of step, and then going for perhaps a slightly later nap. So you might want to, depending on where you are, and there's always information about nap transitions in all of my packages, so that you have the kind of the right guide, whether it's the Academy or any of the kind of the bespoke packages, so you get that kind of info. Generally what you want to do is kind of move the nap a bit later. So if they're not tired and you've been sleeping at 10 o'clock, then maybe it's 10:15, and see how that goes. And then edge it sort of forward so that you're keeping your child awake for longer, and then naturally the nap that you're trying to drop just goes in the day. Now it can take a few weeks sometimes for nap transitions, especially the last one if you're dropping the nap. So don't be afraid of kind of giving it some sort of time. But just know that you're kind of on that flow and you're kind of getting towards, you know, reducing to the kind of the naps that you need. So that's kind of nap transitions. I'm just going to check my little list. Now there's 4 things I wanted to talk about there. From an older child point of view, one thing we haven't really talked about is kind of anxiety and sort of this willingness to go to bed. And there's a difference here between a behavioural thing, so you know, a child kind of running around jumping on the ceiling, versus a child who's really anxious around sort of bedtime. Now there's some great mindfulness practices out there that you can do with your child. One of my favorites is the star breathing. So you breathe in on the up and then out on the down. You go all the way around the hand to kind of relax them into the sort of the breathing. You can do some lovely meditation through things like Calm or Headspace. And there's some lovely courses out there. Relax Kids do an amazing course in terms of kind of looking at how to kind of get your child more relaxed for bedtime. But I suppose with anxiety around sort of older children, my suggestion is to set the standards. So try and stay with them in the room, try and keep them calm, but know that if they're not going to go to sleep, then you shouldn't be there. Try not to lie down in bed with them, because you want to create a bit of separation, but know that you're kind of there for them. So just try and manage it through. Often it's you know, a nice time to kind of actually be with your child if they're anxious, because they'll start to talk about things. If you can identify those issues, then sometimes you can start to work with them more. But I think that is it for everything I wanted to talk to today. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, if I haven't covered a topic that you wanted covered, then I am going to be doing my Q&A on Monday, so I'll be here to kind of answer all of your questions. Also, don't forget about the £5 off offer for the Sleep Academy that I talked about earlier, and my new service. I'll be posting about that more. But fundamentally, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's kind of joined in, everyone who's written, commented, everyone who's entered the prize competitions. Don't forget to do that. Again, that finishes on Sunday. And it's been a fab week. And luckily, the sunshine's been with us the whole week. So I really hope you've enjoyed it all. And I will be back soon to talk more about sleep. So take care and have a lovely, lovely weekend. Bye-bye.